Here, MacGyver here with Box and Bants, and I'm joined here by Jamie Morrisey. Jamie, I was actually thinking today. You don't have a ring name, do you?
No, no.
No, like
I
you've
tell you
never
what,
had one, have you?
I've never had one, brother. I've never had one. Um, and I'm probably going to keep it that way, my man, until something. I had something. Martin Donovan, Penny Donovan's father, calls me. It's a long story. Calls me the late great. Calls me the late great. I'm not sure. Uh, yeah, there's a story behind that. I was gonna go with that. I'm liking keeping it free. Something will present itself. But for now, no, nothing, brother. Nothing. I'm gonna keep it that way. Jamie Morris will do for this.
I think I remember Graham half mentioning what the late great means, but I can't remember. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Google calls me the late great. That quite stuck below. It stuck, and I was kind of thinking, you know what, I'm gonna go with that. I might still go with it. For this one, it's Jamie Morrissey though.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, sorry. So we're 19 days really away from the fight. So Saturday 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You'll be fighting Emmet Brennan in on the Katie Taylor undercard on the Tree Arena. And it's funny because the last time I interviewed you, I remember you mentioned you really thought in your heart of hearts, you were like, right, I think the winner of this fight between me and Kevin is going to fight on the Katie Taylor undercard. But that at the time was for the May card. But it still happened for you, but just at a different time. And although it was a draw in the end, the fight, like still it still happened, like
Mm.
um and you at the time even said it was between you. You thought that you were going to fight Emma Brennan. Um, can I ask why in particular do you think it was going to be the person who came up on top to fight Emma Brennan?
Why did I think out of that particular fight?
Yeah, yeah.
Just because I know that Emmet had like me and Kevin don't come from big promotional backing. You know what I mean? I don't come from that. Boxing Ireland signed me as a kickboxer, and I've fought my way here by the grace of God. But I know that Emmet has obviously Dan Barker in his corner, obviously good promotional backing in that sense with a high profile management, and I knew that he was the key to a platform like this. So um, I knew that one of us had to present ourselves as who would be the desirable fight for him. Fair play to Emmett. Yeah, he wants to fight. He wants to proceed quick in his career. And whoever won that fight, I knew was going to be the smartest step for him in terms of where he wants to go in his career. So I was able to put myself in a position to be that fight. So that's where that came from, bro.
Mm. The actual fight coming about, like, did it take long to make? Was there much back and forth, or?
There was a back and forth. We got offered a fight when I was in Thailand. But I was out there with my missus. I put down probably the busiest year, one of the busiest years in Irish boxing last year, in terms of the fights I was taking. And we had our head set that we were staying till September, till mid-September. So I was kind of like, I'm not in like, offer wasn't like really head turning. And obviously a great show. Conlons do great shows. Um, but at that point, we were like, do you know what? No, like I'm not in a position where I have to chase this guy at all. There's not much to be chasing. I've I've won the titles there earlier in the year. I'm not in a position where I have to chase this guy. He doesn't really have anything, bar a good background, amateur wise, having got to the Olympics. So we said, no, I'm not rushing for no one. I'm not getting in camp on my holidays. I'm not rushing home to fight this guy. So I put up that video and I said, look, obviously you've a bit of pull there. Let's see what's happening for the next Taylor fight. And here we are.
It's obviously meant to be. Um, yeah. One question I was going to ask you: the situation with the Celtic title, is the Celtic title on the line?
Yes, light heavyweight title. Light heavyweight title is on the line.
So the belt, your belt basically is on the line.
Yeah, like Emma put up a post there saying not many people step up in weight. He hasn't. They actually wouldn't agree to doing it at light heavyweight. He hasn't gone up in weight. He's gone up. It's at a catch weight in between super middle and light heavyweight. Um, I'm. I think the defending my belt makes it a lot juicier, but as I said, he put up a post saying not many people go up in weight like this. They wouldn't have it at light heavyweight, so we've done it in the middle, in between super middleweight and light heavyweight, which are 171 and a half pounds is the limit.
Mm.
So yeah, something we gave them, which yeah is what it is. It's I'm defending my title on it. Yeah, title is on the
Mm.
line.
You spoke about after the last Kevin fight, how something that you wanted to address was your engine, and that's something that you need to look at. Um, is that something that you've been? Well, I presume it's something that you've been working on and trying to fix in this camp.
Yeah. Yeah, with me it's getting into it very, very briefly. It's completely a mental thing with me in terms of I was diagnosed early in my life with obsessive compulsive disorder, and I suffer with things just every day. Could be nothing on my mind. I was obsessed with numerology as a child, um, obsessed with thinking everything had significance. Suffer from intrusive thoughts, rituals, things that really were time consuming throughout my life, and made my life very debilitating. And at some points, uh, borderline, like, yeah, not really caring what happened to me. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's absolutely horrible. I never really addressed that directly. I'm always, to be honest, in I've been blessed athletically. I was as a child. I was a standout athlete. Around adolescence is when things like OCD really come to fruition. Around that point, it completely, my life was a train wreck. Just early adolescence, my academics went to shit, my athletics went to shit. I couldn't focus on a field anymore. And right up until my late teens, early 20s, I was just all over the shop, completely all over the shop. Was a straight A, top athlete, really. Everything went to shit. My mental health was truly just unbelievably bad. I simply would not wish it on my worst enemy. I know one other person with what is the diagnosis is pure OCD. It's a very, very rare diagnosis, and been struggling with that my whole life essentially. I don't know any other professional athletes with it. However, if I do allow it to get out of control on any day, certain things can set it off, and if I cannot control my mind and maintain tranquility with it, it will lead to mental fatigue, leads to me being very, very physically fatigued. So the way I often come across more fit if I come back from a week's holidays after not, or whatever, 3 week holiday after not training. I will be actually more fit based on my mind having a break, rather than putting in like a 3 month camp and my mind being monotonous and struggling with some sort of fatigue. It really is mental with me. I've struggled in that sense my whole life. Um, I'm not here to like with all of there's lots of mental health activism in the world. It really is. It's a massive, massive issue. But you have to be your best self, be as much as a good man as you can be, deal with it, and be the best person you can be. I've had a complete supernatural 2 years or so in terms of my relationship with God. That has helped massively. And I'm also putting the correct procedures in place to make sure something like that doesn't happen again.
How old were you when you were actually diagnosed?
Oh, I was in my teens. I couldn't give you a correct diagnosis, but I was. It was a correct age. It was more so a self when I was struggling with these symptoms that were massively unique and something that I wouldn't have even vocalized to anyone else other than a professional. Once I looked them up and saw that it was a collectively shared symptoms worldwide, and I could associate it with that diagnosis, I went to professionals, and that was the result. They put me on SSRIs, serotonin inhibitors, which again I feel are given out far too quickly in the medical world. I can remember physically throwing them into the train tracks. They absolutely diluted me and really didn't sit well with me. And from that point on, I just well, in truth, my fighting career has probably been number one has been my faith and my relationship with God. I experienced complete supernatural healing going back last year. That's another conversation in itself. I'd be happy to do an interview with you in relation to that. Um, I experienced healing in Jesus' name a year ago, where I felt see what accompanies pure OCD is debilitating anxiety. I would wake up with anxiety and go to sleep with anxiety, and I would have anxiety. If there ever was a period in the day where I didn't have anxiety, I'd have anxiety about not having anxiety. I'll put it to you that way. And it was just extremely fatiguing and a difficult way to grow up through my teens, through my 20s, really up until last year or so. Fighting was a good mechanism for me to escape that. I throughout my teens and my early 20s, I used less constructive and useful ways of escaping. Uh, was quite troublesome and misguided. But I believe that there's purpose in a lot of pain, and here I am now. I've never felt more ready physically, thank God, and more energetic. OCD is something that I will definitely try to vocalize and bring a lot more attention to. I've only met one, by the, by God's guidance, almost my missus Sophie is an online coach, and one of her students or one of her clients opened up to about her, and sitting down with her, she was the first person I've ever met with it. Um, it's unbelievably debilitating, borderline just dark and demonic. It's just like having a bully in your head nonstop. And she shared more or less the exact same symptoms as me, has pure OCD. And to talk with her was quite refreshing and alleviating in terms of just relating to someone in that sense. But like I said, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. However, everyone is dealing with something. We move.
Mm. What's interesting about that, what you're saying is, in this particular fight, like a friend of Emmet, and a guy who's been very, very open, about it in his journey, and also a former boxer in the amateurs, is Glenn Murray, or Live Life Sexy as you call him. Also diagnosed with OCD, but also ADHD as well. But he always talked about how boxing, he actually had a great engine in boxing because of his ADHD, because
Okay.
his body was obviously producing so much adrenaline. Like, but obviously it's different for you because you purely OCD. But it's interesting because he'd be quite close to Emma from what I can see on social media and that. But he talked about how he got into like his early 20s, late teens, and medicated himself through drink, drugs, all those kind of things. Was there ever a period in your life where, like in your early 20s, where you were basically self-medicating yourself?
Um, okay, yeah. In terms of just to quickly address, that's 100%. Like I see other people that I know with anxiety, that often like I'm trying to what my case was, okay, and going back to my Thai boxing days, was a constant like so I was constantly always in a state of adrenal fatigue. So because so what OCD essentially leads to is a constant state of fight or flight, we'll say, based on complete irrational things. I could have thought at one stage of my life that because of my trail of thought, and then a song came on the radio that it had, and this is as mad as it gets, like that it had significance in terms of, or if I didn't undergo this specific ritual I had, that someone I love may come into harm. It was that specific and would lead to constant state of adrenaline, and then days where I simply could not hold my shape or hold my hands up. Um, I would then experience some days, as Gugu, like Martin Donovan says, he says there was 8 different Jamie Morriseys. He said each one of them as tough as the last, but there's 8 different Jamie Morriseys. And it would just not make sense. In my Thai boxing, I started correlating my just days where my mind, and it took me such a gradual that I was like, what the fuck is going on with me some days, that when some days were worse than others, and it's like this, right? I'm looking at my windscreen here. When a bad thought comes, or when an intrusive thought comes, if I actively am swatting these thoughts away, intrusive thoughts, swatting it away, bad feelings, swatting it away. If I'm in a day like that where I'm actively swatting away these horrible thoughts, I will be melted, so adrenally fatigued. It's happened me in fights more than once. I've been like, oh man, a couple of times Thai boxing as well. But at that point, I didn't know. I couldn't identify exactly what it was, so I couldn't really rectify it. It was just seen it as adrenal dumps. Like BJ Penn, the UFC fighter, was speaking about these adrenaline dumps that he was experiencing in his first few fights. So I was kind of attributing to that. But when I started identifying the correlation, um, I could really start working on it. And the last year or so has been the last since my healing, by the grace of God, I've been way more consistent. My consistency has been chalk and cheese compared to my past. What was your initial question again? Sorry, Kieran.
Glenn Murray spoke about how like he went through a period basically of like addiction,
Yes.
and I'm not saying that that's what you were doing, but because I don't know, but he went through a really bad stage of addiction because he was basically self-medicating himself. Like for instance, like people who have, let's say, ADHD or ADD, a lot of them don't realize they're self-medicating with, let's say, cocaine, because it creates this pathway where you're blinkered and you're thinking of one thing rather than a million things going on in your head, and you're actually, without realizing it, you're self-medicating yourself because you're able to think of one thing and one thing only. Um, so that's what he was saying that he was doing. So I don't know, were you ever self-medicating with alcohol or anything like that, or
I
food
suppose,
even? You know?
yeah, I suppose I was, bro. I suppose I was. I was like always, but like, thank God I was always like, what I was always like, we'll say in primary school, what matters is being an athlete, yeah, being an athlete and being confident. I was born good at sports, and I was a confident kid. I hit the ground running in school, whatever. Right up until adolescence. So I can remember as a kid, as a child, right? As a child, I would do the exact same thing every morning I got out of bed. The exact same stupid, irrational ritual for no reason. I would go through uh, depressive episodes as a child. I remember finding out that you die and stuff, and go through like 1 or 2 month real depressive, dark episodes as a child, which wasn't normal. But I was still always very, very confident and socially aware and socially inept. And then socially able. And come adolescence, my ability to be myself was just absolutely thrown. I just went into turmoil in every sense. My academics went to shite, as did my sports, as did my social life. So I'd say late teens, early 20s, I was very, very much uh in the party scene. An addict, no. An addict, no. What I would do is, I would, if I was going socializing, I would absolutely mask my anxiety and my intrusive thoughts. I'd neutralize them whatever way I could prior to even having a drink. That may have that was probably in the form of like what I can remember doing would be like taking benzos prior to going to anywhere where there'd be a group of people. That was late teens, early 20s, and very much involved in the party scene, but more so just misguided, man. Just misguided, just absolutely just completely lost. And then everything was just in a mess. And I got a trip to Mexico with college, and I went out there the most insecure, the most lost, and the most what's the word? Just insecure, man, and lost young fella in the world. And I just something happened. A relationship ended. A long relationship ended prior to going out there, and I went out there with a fire in my belly. Came back and started fighting at 21, 22, and since then I've been able to medicate and escape through fighting, through being in a gym, and through setting goals. But nothing really healed me until I met Jesus, man. To be honest.
Mm. So getting back to this fight, Emmet Brennan obviously is very, very confident of the fight. He's saying things like that he's going to stop you in 4 rounds and along those lines. And I'm not saying he's dismissing you in any way because he's clearly training very hard for it. But for you, from your point of view, like, what's your mentality going to fight, especially with him, with his pedigree and him saying these things, and you're going to his backyard? I know it's a street arena, but it really is his hometown. Like,
Yeah, that's my mentality, bros. I have to win. I have to win. Like, this is my that is my mentality. I have to win this. This is my nothing. I haven't been here before. I haven't been here before, nor has he. I don't think Niall Bard is a great mind in the sport. He said, just look, he not as if he was. I'm not trying to win the bus, as if he was taking sides. I bumped into him. I was up Sophie was sparring in the gym. He said, just be prepared because nothing is quite like this. And I'm very aware of that. That nothing rivals the magnitude of this event in that sense. But I've been around the block, man. I've been around main events. I'm not slipping into the mentality of it's just another fight, but I am also. I'm preparing. I'm gonna be there, ready for war. He's just a man. I don't think he looked like look, I know he has a great amateur background. He went to the Olympics. He was beaten the first round. He has a few Irish titles. He he's not Superman. He's just another man. I'm brave. I'm long. I'm dangerous. I've been here before. I'm a champion in the sport, a domestic champion, and I've been around the block. I know my heart. No one can question my heart, and I know at my best. I believe I'm an awkward side out there for anyone, absolutely anyone. So I'm coming. I'm ticking the boxes, preparing my mind. I'm seeing him speaking that way. I'm allowing him to speak that way. Fights are won with fists, not mouths, and I'm coming to do my thing. I'm coming to win, brother.
mm. Um, Another thing, do you think on your side, like, and I know probably you probably don't think about this personally, but really, I think more so in the moment in the fight, it might stick to you where, like I saw your fight against Robbie Burke and against Kevin, and the crowds at that, even though they were small old shows, like there was a lot on the line in them, in particular the Kevin one. And I remember even the last round coming up to like it was just chaos, like the shouting and screaming and people nearly on top of the ring, and even the I could see the pressure on the referee in his eyes because the top round was so tight. Um, and at those moments, like obviously they're very important as time goes on, and Emmet obviously, although he's beaten a lot of people, he's fought all over the world, he hasn't gone the full 8 rounds, um, like you, and in really high pressure 50-50 times. Do you think that that's going to help you in certain moments in the fight when it really does start to get very difficult?
Yeah, I believe it will, Kieran. I believe it will. That stands to you subconsciously. However, I don't look into these things massively, man. Like I said to you initially with the Kevin Cronin fight, we were talking about camps, we were talking about this and that. We're going to meet in a day. We're going to fight. Subconsciously, it may stand to me. It may. I'm not going to look into that. Nor do I look. But the reason I'm here right now, Kieran, is by the grace of God. But also, I don't fear another man. I have no fear of man. I respect what the background he's coming from. But I know that he is just a man and that he can be beaten. So I'm not looking into his amateur background massively, although I respect it and I'm aware of it. Nor do I look into the experience I've gained in those situations. It's a man against another man on November 25th. And that's the way I'm looking at it.
Emma put up on his Instagram stories last week, I think it was, he made the comment of that he wanted the fight to be on TV, as I'm sure you wanted to be on as well. But he said that you had made no effort to actually promote the fight. What was your thoughts on that?
I didn't see the post. I don't follow Emmet. Or someone said it to me back. I heard that. I'm just staying true to myself. Like I'm rationing I'm trying to make sure the rest of my people are looked after with tickets. I only ordered 300. They will go. I think that Emmet has, like, the way he's been speaking. I don't think it comes across quite well. I think that like, I'm just staying true to myself, brother. I'm just staying true to myself. I'm never gonna, because people can smell the fakeness and people can smell the nonsense. That's not who I am. I started fighting to attain a platform on which I could be heard, on which I could be heard. So why would I go and fabricate my personality in order to sell a fight? That's not why I'm here. I'm staying true to myself. I'm like, uh, uh, if he sees selling the fight as the way he's speaking, I'm never gonna do that. The way he's speaking, I think it comes across so foolish at times, like just speaking not built like this kind of stuff. I don't. It's just not me, man. It's not me at all. Maybe at one stage it was. I don't know. I'm just ticking the boxes down here. What I have to do. I'm coming to win. The, Eddie Hearn doesn't give a shit, man, if I'm posting on my fucking social media about this fight or not. He doesn't. He doesn't. It's the fight. Eddie Hearn asked Johnny Hips about it, and it has a great story to the fight. But me fabricating my personality and talking, like, he's, if you ask me, out from what Emmett is I don't know if that's him either, and it's annoying people. It's coming across a certain way. He's talking a real big one. He's saying, I'm not selling the fight. I'm allowing him. Let him, and fair play to him. Maybe he is selling the fight. He's chatting away. I'm not going to be someone else for the sake of anyone. And I'm going to stay true to myself, and that's what I'm doing.
Outside of the fight itself, look, that this is something that may only happen once in your lifetime. A Katie Taylor fight week. I imagine you're looking forward to the actual week, the press conference, and be sitting at a top table, hopefully with Katie Taylor, and meeting her, and the weigh-in and all these things, and potentially meeting her in the dressing room. So I imagine that's something that you're really looking forward to.
Yeah, I really look forward to meeting Katie Taylor, man. What can I say? Like, she's a national treasure, man. And like, it's like us as a nation, Ireland as a nation, has to really take into consideration that she's not going to be around forever, and that we really have something special in what she is. She's like, you can make a huge case to argue that she's the best female athlete of all time across any sport. She's an amazing individual. I can't wait to meet her. The way that she glorifies God, and the element of humility and just soundness to her character, with the talent and hard work that goes with it, is truly unique. And course, I'm looking forward to meeting her. Man. I've never met her before, nor I don't believe I've seen her. So it's look, it's what can I say, bro? Stuff of dreams.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Right, okay. Well, Jamie, I think that's really it. But I really do appreciate your time. We got a lot in there, more than I expected. But yeah, I really appreciate your time, and yeah, I'm looking forward to fight week.
Yes, but listen, yeah, that was I really enjoyed that interview, bro. Great interview, different. It gets like not that I've done a massive amount of interviews. I'm not a superstar, but it does get monotonous at times with the same questions, same trail of thought, and all that. That was brilliant. I enjoyed it. Thank you for your time as always, bro.
Yeah, no problem at all, Jamie. Once again, thanks again.